We live today in the studio once again. I'm one of your co-hosts, Dr. Black Wealth, and we got
Hey, it's your girl, Miss Fair Financial.
yeah. So we like to first of all start off by saying thank y'all for all the support. Like, share, subscribe to our channel. Make sure you share it with your people and they people and they people.
That's right.
Of course, we're a couple of business owners. Right now, it is September 11th, right?
Fourth quarter.
Going into the fourth quarter, it's still tax season. We are knocking out taxes. So if you still need business taxes done by next Monday or personal taxes done by October 15th, reach out.
Yes.
We got the information on the BOI report, meaning the beneficiary ownership information report that is due by every business owner.
Every business owner.
And so we got a live webinar happening on the 19th of September. So make sure you hit the description for the webinar links to get more information about that.
That's right.
And then just a little sneak peek. I guess we got a live course coming out in reference to tax season. So if you want to be a tax preparer, if you're looking to make 6 or plus figures or more in the tax industry, learn what we do. We have a course and a program coming out soon. Details will be provided.
That's right.
Sounds
and a boot camp. We got a lot of stuff coming.
And we got the boot camp coming. So just stay tuned to us.
Yeah.
I think we did all our morning announcements, right?
That's the church say amen.
Yeah.
That all our
That's right. All our housekeeping. Yeah. And but for sure, seriously, we've been doing live shows for the past 3 weeks or a couple weeks or so.
Yeah.
The support has been amazing.
Yeah.
And we've been covering things as far as the big business debates, big political debates and things that's been going out.
For
and
sure.
sharing
That's the climate
views.
where we're in. So we always want to help you mind your biz, and politics is hot right now because it impacts us, right? So we want to talk about it.
And on 9/11, I didn't even realize it was 9/11. I guess we could do a moment of silence on 9/11.
For sure.
Silence taken. I remember that was a traumatic event for sure. I remember
it was the first ever. I never even thought about somebody hitting us in the land. That was a terror. You always thought it was something away. It was over there. You really couldn't connect to it as much. I mean, besides Pearl Harbor, that was probably the last big thing that happened stateside. But other than that, in my generation, in my era growing up, it was like an anomaly.
Impacted so many of us. I remember we was sent home. I was here young, but then I remember thinking about my grandma because she worked down the street from from where the towers was hit.
Wow.
And so we couldn't reach her or nothing. Then finally we ended up talking to my grandpa. He was like, "She all right?" So
I know I was on my way to school. I was in college. I was on my way to school, and I was like, "Oh, what is that on the news?" It was just weird. It was so weird, and I just sat and watched the news all day because class and other things were canceled. And I was like, "Wow, this is really crazy." So,
so it's a lot of things going on. So last night was the first runoff between Harris and Trump in the presidential debate.
Yeah.
Following her nomination to be announcing to be the Democratic nominee and candidate,
from the convention,
and well put together scripted interview she did. So
the interview was the first interview saying with Dana Bash.
Right.
Yeah, that wasn't a great showing.
Right.
It wasn't a great showing for her.
It was not.
But I think she did well. Last night.
So let's get into it. What's your thoughts about it?
I think I think
we both watched it in its entirety.
I think overall she did good.
Okay.
I think she came out with a little bit more personality, a little bit more vigor. I think she stayed the course to the point. I think she knew who her opponent was. I think she baited him in a couple different things to trigger him. And I think Donald Trump did overall well for him, right? He lost it definitely along the way, but I think overall he didn't show a complete ass of himself as I was expecting him to do. He did better than I thought. And I think his party should be pretty happy with what he did. Right. I think he didn't completely embarrass them. He definitely had some moments in there for sure that'll be all over the internet, right? As they already are. Right. But I think overall, he did better as a debater for himself. But
So what are your thoughts about like just the talking points? What's some highlights
I
you
think
feel
the
like?
talking points were expected. I think he didn't give a lot of substance on what he would do, right? In terms of planning. They were asked pretty much the same amount of questions. I think politically she answered the questions as well as she could. She talked about what she was going to do. Of course, the main things, of course, is the 6,000 child tax credit, the 50K tax credit, which I'm really curious about what that is, right? Because it's like, so as a new business owner, it's for startups, right? I need more of that. I'm taxes is our thing. So the details is in there. So I'm like, what is that? It's a tax credit because they're very particular on the word, right? In terms of what that is a tax credit for startups up to 50K. So I'm curious about that for sure. And then the first time home buyer credit up to 25,000. I'm familiar with that. I remember that the first time around when that came out, I forgot what president was in there, how they got the 10K it was the first time around and how you repay it back. But I thought she stayed the course. I think she did a good job. I think now, she's got to do more of that so people know what lane she's in. For the most part, I think, unfortunately, Donald Trump just can't sometimes get out of his own way. The whole time he plays that otherism really well. All we talked about was immigrants, bringing them in, that other thing. We just going to keep looking at them. The immigrants cause crime. The immigrants are why we don't have any money. The immigrants are eating the dogs and the cats. It was so obsessive. They're coming across the wall. The entire world has lower crime because all of their immigrants are here, right? I think, he unfortunately plays into why he's not going to get elected because he can't focus and come out of that base, the small base that is focused on immigration, which is a thing. We have a problem with immigration here, and we have to sit down and have a discussion on how we fix that, right? But we can't keep demonizing immigrants like every person that comes here is a robber or a thief or a gangbanger, right? You can't lump immigrants and go, immigrants, right? They're the backbone in this country. Let's be clear. Without immigrants, a lot of the low labor tasks don't get done in this country. So I think, he's doing a disservice by just demonizing that population who support, right? Like just this the way, us as Black Americans support it, our immigrants, whether they're Mexican, whether they're Haitian, whether they're Caribbean, they fuel and help. They're part of our economy. And I think to just kind of the immigrants is just to me such a expected from him in the Republican Party, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, there you have it, folks.
So I wasn't shocked.
Okay.
I just didn't think he was going to double down. I knew he was going to do some things, but I think all over social media, he's a marketing guy, right? This is what he does. Those sound bites help take him. He knows this. And I think that whole eating the dogs and the cats is going to like kill him. Like it's like they're eating all the dogs and cats. Like no one else we're not going to remember anything else.
They got the post going viral.
Besides the dogs and the cats. Literally, I'm like laughing like, sir, you're like, who's eating the dog? And he said, listen, we've contacted the city of Missouri. We don't have any amounts of the pets being eaten.
They got the post going viral
by the immigrants, sir. And her reaction was classic. We're just gonna laugh at this. Be presidential. That's what I mean. Be presidential. Be presidential. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we talking
about? All right, y'all. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. I went into this.
Come on, look at you getting your camera.
Let me lead this thing in here, boy. I went into the debate with a clear head to say or to see what I would get from both sides to further explain their policies and who they would be as a president. I think for the debate, if we're going to score the debate, I would put it into Kamala's favor. But overall, for the whole debate, I was very disappointed. I didn't walk out of there knowing what either party would do for the people, what either party, what are their values in relation to how do we move the American people forward. And it made me even think about just being even more conflicted as a African American, because I feel like that's not an unselfish way to think, because that's who I am. So I'm gonna put me and myself and my people first before we start to think about anything else. I think that from the start of it, as we watched it earlier, she came out and tried to create a strong dominance. I think she did a good job of doing that. Mm-hmm. She walked way over to him to do the handshake to kind of establish a power in a sense. I think that everybody was concerned with how Trump would react, what type of Trump would show up
for
here.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think he did a very good job, and to at least to say that he wasn't reactionary in the Trumpism way, in a sense. Sure. I think he held his composure a lot. I think he kept less eye contact, and I think she baited him, because I think that they wanted a reaction from him. And in certain scenarios, it came up and it didn't work in his favor.
Yep.
And in certain scenarios, it didn't work in her favor. But throughout the whole debate, she definitely taunted him, came for his character. She definitely kind of went in there to try to stir him up emotionally.
For sure. It was very strategic on some of the things, especially because when you talk about nobody comes to his the rally that they leave early.
When people be all in there, ain't nobody.
When people leave early, that's triggering because he talks about it. Yeah. So he took the bait, and it started to unravel him. Yeah. That's when he went way left with a lot of the stuff, for sure.
And he kind of went around the circle, but he also kind of came back into point out different policies. I personally, I'm understanding of her economic policy is to raise I don't want to say war, but raise the middle class up. She wants to give a $50,000 tax deduction for startups, whereas right now the tax deduction is at $5,000, and then anything above that you got to like spread it out over a course of time. And so
she said deduction or credit.
It's a deduction. So we'll but we got the clip on it. We'll talk about it later when we move into the business segment. Okay. But the other thing was they attacked him for his tariffs, trying to say, the savings account, which I thought he had a great rebuttal. The fact that you guys did not reduce the fact that you did not change my tariffs policy over the past 3.5 years speaks a lot. And I think what his policy is trying to show, which I think he did a good job of showing, that was no, we other countries owe us money, and versus in addition to how can we save us on taxes to get income, we need to tax these other foreign policies. The abortion thing is really unsettling to me, because although I know the fact that Trump elected what she explained or appointed those Supreme Court judges to go in there, the thing that baffles me about the Democratic Party in general is we are hearing kind of the same things to paint him to be, for us to be divided even more so racially. And I think the Democratic Party leans into racial issues, Black issues as a forefront to gain voters, but on the back end, nothing gets resolved in this arena that apply to us. And when I say that, even on the abortion tip, okay, for sure, Trump appointed those Supreme Court justices. I'm not taking nothing away from this. I'm not saying women shouldn't. I think everybody should have a choice to do what they will and what they want to. But what I am saying is what makes us think that she's going to be the spearhead for changing that, other than the fact that she's a woman? You sat in the second most highest seat today for 3.5 years. And what are you going to do that's going to change a policy like that? And he puts it back onto what's happening now. Well, now it's at the state level. So now it's a point into your arena of, locally, you need to try to figure out what's happening at your state, at your local level decisions, so that if you feel some type of way about that, then you can control it at the state level.
I think with that though, I think that's a way to kind of kick the can down the road, because for years that's why the federal protections matter, right? Because what the states won't do, right, or the states are not listening to their people, right? Because overwhelmingly people want gun control, comprehensive gun control. You want women to have agency over your body, right? But if the states aren't doing what their people want, that's why the federal protections are there. And so we, as women, we had a federal protection. So then to now take that and throw it in the trash and kick it down the road and say, well, now the states could do it. We know most states are Republican led. Now the Democratic states that are still standing are giving the abortion freedoms. But what about the women that are in Republican states? So I think that's unfair. I think that that's really like kicking the can down the road and saying, oh, well, now it's in the state level, but you took that protection and threw it down the road. That's like saying, well, we're going to take out some of the amendments over Black Americans and make it a state issue. Well, no, that's crazy. We fought for this federal protection so states can abide by it. Now to dismantle that, I think is really disingenuous to say, well, now I'm putting it back to the people. We already were there. Some things we don't have to relitigate. You know what I mean? Like, I think some things are exactly what it is, and we don't have to keep fighting over it. But,
I get that. And then to the point, just to make my last point here, the immigration, this is the first real, like, and if I'm being honest, like real kind of maybe political scene I'm like paying attention to and involved in. And so I'm really more so like trying to understand the issues and the views on it, and then how it affects the people, and then how it affects me. And so when I was listening about the immigration, of course, I felt like, Trump was in his right to kind of throw that in their face based off what the facts of the matter is of that happened over their election, as far as the 11 million and counting of immigrants that's coming in from the borders, and
that 11 million that's here, that's supposedly undocumented,
right?
But
and then
it's 11, so they're documented.
And then they right, and then they stopped the like the reversal on the immigration. But then it was reports that say, well, oh man, maybe we might have made a mistake based on what's happening. But so and I'm gonna keep crime out of this for a moment. Right now, what I'm concerned with is you have immigrants who come in, and it's easy for people to support immigrants because I think as Black people, we are more sympathetic to people who are, if we will call ourselves un-American, right, through chattel slavery and all that other stuff that puts us in
but also immigration. Okay, not to cut you off, but anybody who came here voluntarily or involuntarily is an immigrant, which is most of us, right? Irish Americans, Italian Americans, Haitians, most of them came here voluntarily. Some of us came here involuntarily, right? But immigrants is the foundation of this country.
I mean, I don't disagree, but then at a certain point, it's like, hey, well, the immigrants that founded the country and the slaves that built the country, at some point, you got to have some type of because the problem becomes, and this is where I'm even more conflicted than not, is because when it comes down to the problems of the people, and I'm talking specifically Black people, you have people who are complaining about the situations that they're in. They're looking for help. For whatever reason, we want to look to the government. So I'm just going down this road because that's what we look at. They need income for food. They need shelter. They need housing. It's people who are on lists to get public assistance, all kind of stuff, on wait lists because they don't have enough people to get them in here. But then you allow immigrants to come in here and they get 3 times the vouchers, housing assistance, all kind of food, Medicare-ish situations. And then we're supposed to house them. That's taken away from what our people need, more especially Black people or poor people, however you want to look at it, off taxes we paying. And I think when you look at it from that perspective, you start to have a little issue with that. It's not about how the country is founded; it's about where we at now.
But I think,
and I think that's a problem.
But I think the problem is how you view it, right? Because your talking point. I mean, what you're saying is a thing, but not really, right? So when you come in as an immigrant, right, there's some asylum protections that allow certain funds to them, but a lot of those people wait years, right, to get housing, to get food, to get vouchers. If they come in illegally, sometimes they're living in a house with 10, 11 people. Everybody's journey is not the same. A lot of times people are waiting and they're getting the bare minimum, just as someone here is getting welfare. They're not getting $50,000 a year. They're getting almost the same as someone here that's making 20 grand on welfare. And I think as a country, we bring in enough money to do all the things.
Mhm.
And so what I don't want to get involved in, and that's what, to me, the Republican Party wants us to that otherism thing. Like, look, they're taking resources from you. No, you're taking resources from all of us. That's the goal. They want us to fight and go, see, those immigrants shouldn't be here because they're taking from us. They're not. The people at the top on both sides are disproportionately funneling money outside of the people. Military gets a lot of money, but it's not necessarily going to the veterans. It's going to what? The arms dealers, the contracts for the tanks and the guns and equipment.
Soldiers' pay ain't increasing.
Exactly.
I was a soldier, so I know.
It barely funnels
Checks
down
come every person
to the people, right?
Low.
It barely funnels down to the people, but those departments get a lot of money. So it should be less figuring out where the money is and holding people accountable, but
Right.
you can't hold them because they got us focused on the distraction, the other.
But I think
we can't fight and say, yeah, those immigrants, they're barely making by. Those people aren't living lavish.
Yeah.
That's how some people look at us and go, those black people are on welfare. They're getting all the entitlements. Yeah, but you're getting how much? My uncle who is handicapped gets $600 a month. Like, let's be clear on what these people are getting. It's not like they putting them up in the Ritz-Carlton and they're like, yeah, they living good.
I mean, if that's suggesting if you're on public assistance, you're trying to live good off public assistance. And I think that's also the problem. Like, when you
it's not living good, but it's helpful. Okay. So you got to give them something or you're going to give them nothing. The immigration issue it is difficult to figure that out, right? But I think we got enough people. If you put your head together, we can figure out something.
Yeah, maybe.
And it's qualifying them. They work.
I'm feeling real. I'm feeling the statement Martin Luther King made. Like, I'm leading my people down the burning house. It's just crazy to watch, and that's what got me like crazy, like conflicted, because and the biggest thing about it is that my fight against the political arena, but it's easier to attack the Democrats because the Democrats or black people been for Democrats for a long time. And for years, we're fighting the same politicians who's been in these same offices, the Senate offices, all this stuff for years. Biden is now president. He sat on the committee when the crime bill was instituted. These people have ran their races trying to get black voters to vote for them off this basis of race. Like, hey, we are for black people, all people, the entrepreneurship. And what happens is we put them in office and nobody shows up for this community. Nobody. And everybody community is put on the forefront, more above us. And it's always the case. And that's why I lean in a sense of like, listen, I ain't gonna get into the situation of like, we'll just jump off the bandwagon and go Republican. But I do want to open the people's minds up to be like, listen, you need to try to really see what's happening here. Because we don't want to go with Republicans because of the appearance of racism and therefore more businesses than social order. It just leans us to stay with Democrats, and we don't hold them accountable. But black people talking about reparations and all this stuff that the Democrats is not going to give you. And you might as well, you make a better play at building your own economic system, building business, or getting good at a skill to get hired in places. It's not like black people are without jobs. It's not like there's not a lot of black professionals out here. I'm not saying that the answer is the end all be all for more businesses, but it kind of works hand in hand. But there are professionals who make 6+ figures a year, and everybody who starts to and the crazy part to look at from the perception point of view, a lot of black people who starts to make more money and climb themselves out of welfare tend to start looking conservative than they are on the Democratic side. And I think for this debate, you got to hold both people feet to the fire.
You do.
And nobody was given clear anything. And I think he tried to stay in the middle a little bit, to not be more than of himself in a sense. And I think of course, like I said, she baited him. I think it was an okay debate. I don't know if they talked about doing the second one. I don't know if it's gonna, at this point, people probably have a decision that they already have made.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think what we have to do as a people more especially is you got to start looking at your own ecosystem and just really start to figure out, like, what is it that I'm being fed here? And through all these institutions we have are designed to control people with fear, with all these perceptions that they do, from religion down to the church, down to the school system. And those of us who have a free mind to think free and get clear of that just come off a little different, and you be marked as the person who's uber conservative and the you for this and for that. And I think we have to keep an open mind to you creating your own world in a sense.
I mean, I think I agree to a certain extent with that. I think when you look at the person you're going to vote for, you look at the person who you want to partner with the most, right? I look at the federal government as a partnership, right? And who would I want to work more with to align with what I'm focusing on? And for me, that is the Democratic Party, right? When you talk about professionals who are making 6 and 7 figures, well, they wouldn't be able to even be able to get those jobs if it wasn't for affirmative action, right? It's not like, that we were included in a thing without fighting for some of these protections. So they align. Are they a perfect party? No, but they align more with who I would want to partner with. And that's trickling all the way down to the federal and local levels. I mean, the state and local levels. That's the main focus. I think when you look at even California or Oakland in particular, right? That is a local municipality who looked at reparation. But they had to look at and put people that were going to talk to that. No other state, and they did the research. How are we going to do that? What does that look like? You know what I mean? So it may have to happen on a local level for then to push up on a federal level. I think reparations is, to me, a talking point to this point. I think it's a thing, but really, what does that look like? And I think the federal government would have to research it and study it to figure, what does that look like? Is that, we talked about it before, is that money? Is that education? Is that business grants?
Not that I'm
I don't
pushing it. I just know that that's what a lot of people call for. And I think the biggest thing is, like, it's like, look, it's 2024.
We want equitable opportunity to do the same thing you do. The same thing. We want equitable opportunity. And for me and my children. And I think the other side of the fence is not looking for equity and opportunity. They're looking for control and dominance. That's how I look at it. And so when I look at their policies, and how they're stripping away things, they make everything harder, right? From trying to vote to educating our children, right? If you care about children, then you say, okay, let's give them art, let's give them music, let's fund public schools, let's pay teachers more money, let's pay administrators more money so that they can compete with private schools, right? You get the better resources always in the private sector because they pay more. Mm-hmm. So let's compete. Right? We care about children, right? We talk about abortion. It's all about the children. Well, then let's think about the children that are here. So I think the Republican Party is really, a smokescreen. It's about control and dominance. And when they talk, that's even down to some of the state level. And that's not everybody. But I think it's hard to look at ideas on both sides of the aisle because they're so partisan and there's so much toxic talk because
about control.
And so when you think about, hey, we could work together, right? But now we can't vote for it now because it doesn't look good, right? And I think that's what we got to get our political leaders to get out of. Like, we need y'all to work together because both sides may have ideas that affect the entire country, right? So I think, it's sad at this point. Because it's like, well, it has to be a total sum game, right? Who can control the House and the Senate so I can push my agenda?
And that's the other part that nobody's really talking about, because right now you got a divided
It's
situation.
equal. She's the president. I mean, she's the vice president, so she's the tiebreaker.
Right.
So
And so, it's a lot of stuff to answer for. And I think for us as a people, I look at it like this. It's 2024. To simply put all your eggs in the government basket is just not the thing that you should be doing. And we got to be able to, and I look at it like, yeah, America owe us, but not from a sense of like, oh, I'm a victim and you owe me, give me my whatever. But I think it's more of a chip that we wear that makes us even that much more successful when we do achieve success. And then, the progress we had has been phenomenal. But let's not stake the ground on the antics of what
politics.
Right. And like and let's open up your mind to not be fooled by what people are putting down your throat. You just accept anything. And I think for us, we have been doing that for a year. It's easier for us to accept things just on the basis of all the way from slavery. Well, I don't want to get in trouble, let me just do this. And we haven't, as a people as a whole, it's not enough of us who's just saying like, well, why is this? Or you're not questioning nothing. We just accept anything given to us. And I think for us as a people, for who we are, for what's in our blood, from where we come from, we do ourselves a disservice doing that. And that's what I see. That's what I seen when I watched that debate. It's just more of a conflict. And I'm not confident that no matter who goes into office come November and gets sworn in come January, that I'm still going to be sitting in my office figuring out leads, prospecting, marketing, so that we could get businesses for us to have businesses, and we can actually produce realized help while helping businesses succeed through their financial gain, CFO services, tax strategies to help them reduce their taxes and build generational wealth. And I think for me, that's my contribution to America.
No, I am with you. I am with you to a certain extent. Like I said, government is partnership, but I also think a lot of times this generation lacks the fight anymore. I think we expect other people to do the work.
Yeah.
And I think it's like we vote, okay, now show me what you got. But that's not where it ends.
And that's the one thing you can say from before civil rights, throughout the civil rights, whether you was for Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or who's it, what's it, but everybody was in the street. And when you look at it, it's just like what the Rothschild said. We said a few early in the year, right? They said, well, they say, I care nothing about the government, who controlling the money. And there's a lot at play that's been told to us over the years.
You got to get in the fight. You have to be involved.
And there's more organizations who stand up for their people, for their cultures, their religions, more than we have for us. All we have ever had is the NAACP, and nobody can say anything about what's happening in 2024 with the NAACP.
No, I agree. I agree.
JW's got the
I agree.
The AOL, and they
on
the first thing smoking for anything anti-Semitic.
For sure. But they're not a perfect organization either. But I think what happens sometimes is that we get really critical about our systems because we don't see what's happening, right? And so then we start abandoning those things, and then they lose their power, right? Yeah. I think that we need to rally around a few groups, and we need to lend them our support and show up for them. We talk a lot about other communities, but they show up. Mm-hmm. They show up. I went to our HOA meeting on Saturday. There were four homeowners there.
Mm-hmm.
They show up.
I feel the same
I feel
but
like
what happens is
we talk a lot, but there's nobody really showing up. So it really just goes, you can't do all of this and don't show up. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So the people who show up, the people who are at the school boards, that are at the things, get what they want.
Yeah. But what happens is, like, the people who rally behind the leadership, who rally behind us showing up, never stay committed to what they go into it for.
Because you got to hold them accountable.
You've seen that with Black Lives Matter. You've seen that even coming out of the civil rights. when other people start funding these people for their own gain, all the conversation starts to shift. And
And
so a
why
lot of
is
people
that?
went
Why
into
is
Black
that
Lives Matter
sometimes?
with a certain mindset of like, oh, this is Black Lives Matter, this is such and such and such. And then when you start to unravel that fight, it's like, well, no, we supporting this, and then all this matters, and then you start following the money trail, and it happens every time. You get people who don't be for the people, by the people, and start selling out. It happens every time. And so that's why I'm saying the first law of preservation is self-preservation. We sweep in front of your own front porch before we start to hold ourselves to be victims of other people's. We got to be tired of being controlled. Oh, no matter who it is, no
I
matter where
agree.
it's coming
I
from, you
agree.
got to be tired of going to church and the people giving you a message that's saying the same thing. And
Well,
come
because
Monday
it's
morning, you in the
easy.
same rat
Most
race. You got to
people,
be tired of that type of
most
stuff.
people are sheep. It's easy to follow.
Well, wake the hell up.
It's
And you
easy to
sitting here on the
follow.
2024 debate, and we're going for Harris over Trump.
It's
And not saying
easy.
and I'm not saying that in
Because
support of
that
Trump.
requires
We're
personal
going over
accountability.
Harris.
That
We're
requires
going
personal.
for Harris over Trump off the sole fact of the racist party into this. And that's what
I don't think
Democrats
it's.
been.
I know. I don't. I disagree.
We gotta wake up.
I disagree.
Everybody controls us, from the presidential down to the local stuff. If you're not in control of your own situation, you are being controlled.
There is a person. Okay, so I think the control is there, and it's a partnership. But if you do nothing and you go to work every day because you feel like this is the thing you need to do, right? Then you're allowing other people to control what happens.
For sure.
Absolutely.
We don't take no accountability.
There's no accountability. I agree. We do lack accountability as a people.
It's always a victim. It's them. It's the system. And it's not that it's not.
But I think the Republican Party also plays on that victimization. See, they're taking your stuff. You could have, but they're taking it.
For sure. So I mean, you guys let us know what you think about the debate. I think it was pretty good. I think if we were to point the debate system, I would say Harris probably came out on Trump. Out on top. We got the opportunity to kind of see her stand her ground in a sense, kind of toe to toe, how she would handle issues. We didn't even talk about foreign policies, but how she would handle foreign policy, foreign affairs.
I feel, just for 2 seconds.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna say nothing.
Just for 2 seconds. I would have to see. We have another debate that focuses on foreign policy. I didn't see enough from her how she would operate in foreign policy. I think I don't think she really prepped enough for the foreign policy.
She played right into Trump's hand, because he was absolutely correct when he was in there.
I don't know about correct.
You can say all the crazy stuff, but when no wars broken out, everybody stayed at bay. She was the deciding factor on this whole Afghanistan issue. She put it on Biden because he brought it up. She was like, well, I supported Biden, but Biden said Harris was the deciding factor in that scenario.
But he had already put the wheels in motion to come out of Afghanistan.
Yeah, we got to see more on foreign policy.
But that was true. He had already said we coming.
See more on foreign policy.
He said we are coming out. He had already put the wheels in motion.
You got to see more on foreign policy.
I definitely want to see more on foreign policy.
You definitely got to.
I mean, our partners matter.
For sure.
He pulled us out of NATO. So, I mean, strategically, partnership matters to keep terrorism at bay.
But from a business perspective,
so I don't need to see no more from him. I'm good on seeing his foreign policy situation.
You gotta see more from her. Period. I think she did do a good job of showing up.
With that.
As far as where people were just like, I don't know who she is. She's scripted. She's not standing on whatever. I think she probably came in there scripted, but I think the more and more she played into the tactic of getting under his skin.
Yeah.
Some parts of it worked. For the most part, I was very proud to see, or I don't say proud, but I was very surprised to see that he held his composure.
I was like, okay,
right. He
probably had a stress ball in his pocket. He probably squeezing the ball.
He ain't even looked left once. He stayed looking at the moderator. He definitely had some faces. She had a whole lot of emotional faces. So when they quiet the mic, I think she spoke up non-verbally as far as how she felt and whatever. And so you got 50 something days or something to elections. you know, you guys
They should do another one on foreign policy.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna do one now. But they talked about it, but he said he's thinking about it.
They need to do another one.
But from a business perspective, how does this all kind of trickle down into what the business owners are looking for? And I think I pulled out the clip for Harris. I didn't think it was necessary to pull out one for Trump. Trump is standing on what he's already been doing.
And he said not yet. He said he don't have not yet. He's thinking about what he gonna do. He don't have a plan yet.
From her, we can watch her clip and then we'll break down the business side of the taxes and stuff. So
the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing. And the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children.
Yeah, so small clip. So she also mentioned raising what we talked about earlier, the startup cost. What it is a startup cost of $50,000 where you get the deduction. So in layman's terms, what that means is if I go out and start a business tomorrow, open up my LLC tomorrow, I will be allowed to deduct $50,000 as a startup cost to get my business off the ground.
Yeah, it's not money given to you.
Right. It's just a deduction of what you spend.
First it was saying credit
do anyway.
And then it switched to deduction.
Right.
Because that's why I was like, because first it was credit. And I was like,
I
credit.
Didn't hear that.
It's a $50,000 credit you're giving. What is that looking like?
How are we gonna get that?
They're gonna run amok. It's gonna be Christmas. They're gonna act a fool.
But
it was saying credit, but deduction would make sense. But that's kind of like.
And the thing about it is, no matter what side of the political coin you're on,
business owners will always be protected.
Always come out on top, right?
Sure.
So that's one of the reasons why I push it, right? And you've seen that. If you don't know that to be true, we can just look at the COVID situation. During COVID, we got the stimulus to
protect business
individuals.
Owners. The individuals got the stimulus,
right?
But it was to stimulate the economy, which money goes out to business
owners. For sure. But what I'm saying is how the policies went. So individuals got their first check was like $1,200, $600, $1,200, $600, something like that, and then they raised the child tax credit.
Yeah,
that's all individuals got. But on the business side, we was able to take advantage of the PPP loans, the EIDL loans through the SBA, which helped businesses able to pay their employees, pay themselves, and float any type of project.
That's typically what would happen. You would start laying off employees.
So on that side, you get the bulker of the money, right? And the same thing happens with credit. Typically, if we go in at the personal credit card, you're going to get a certain amount, but for business credit card, they normally give you more.
For sure.
And so the deduction is a big deal. I'm not going to say that it's not a big deal, but the people who are trying to start businesses, I mean, let's kind of really be real here. How many of us are? It's a small percentage.
I think it'll help.
Raising, it's not help, but I'm thinking about when I started my business. It definitely wasn't $50,000 to get started, and I don't think I went that much into a hole. And we started with nothing. We just started. We bought equipment, software,
but I think
we started to market to get income before I started to raise capital for expenses.
Well, not even capital, but I think what I do think though, I think that this is helpful to help business owners plan when you start your business. I wish I did plan,
because we're going in business to make money.
For sure, I wish if I could do it again, that I would have planned and strategized. It had a business plan, right? What and how we're going to spend money, what funds are going to be allocated where, and what is the tax advantages to do certain things, so I could be more intentional about the success.
I agree.
So I think
out
that
the gate versus figuring it out while we on the plane.
For sure. It was like this.
We jumped off the.
It was like this thing is in the air. We gotta figure it out, So I think
I'm still a little unclear though. I know her demand is to push for the middle class, And I'm still a little unsettled on
The
how that would happen.
6K, I agree with, because being in the tax space, the child tax credit with middle class, the higher earners almost get nothing. But if you increase that non-refundable part of it, it'll help the middle class get more back of their taxes.
For
right?
sure. I
You know
can
what I
see
mean?
that.
So
I
the
can see that.
6K, that helps the
You get a
middle
little
class,
deduction.
because the EIC, only helps lower.
Right.
So I
Gotta
agree
make it
with that
$20,000.
100%. We've been doing taxes too long.
Right,
The
right,
people
right, right,
who
right.
make 45
I
and
see.
up get killed.
And all people will benefit from that.
All,
Rich people, 'cause
everybody,
you got W2s,
everybody, all,
everybody benefit
they
from
get
that.
killed. They're
For
like,
sure.
it's nothing else for me.
For sure.
So I agree with that 100%.
But she's going off the bandwagon of the opportunity economy, which is producing more business. We've been talking about since the start.
Because it's a
Producing more business
twofold, right? Because a lot of people take their tax refund and so, hey, I'm gonna invest in my business.
Mhm.
So if you're giving me a 6K child tax credit,
Right.
and a majority of it is non-refundable, but I'm going to get a larger refund potentially because it lowers my taxable income.
Sure.
That's the thing. They're going to say,
So
oh,
let me
great.
ask you this.
I think that's a great thing.
With the state of the economy right now, let's call it a Harris economic plan.
Yeah.
If I'm working, I'm a middle class person and I'm looking to start my business. In what ways does this help me, or how should I plan around doing this? Like, how should I plan around starting my business? What should I do? How will the economy now support me in that?
So I think the fact that you figured out the business, you know what you want. You're like, hey, I'm gonna sell caramel apples. I don't know. I'm gonna start.
Not the candy apples.
Right. Let's say it's a candy apple. It's a great
good.
idea, right? I'm gonna make them in different colors.
It's a
I'm
red apple.
Candy apple, red, pink, and blue, whatever, right?
Right.
And I figured out this thing I'm doing on the side, right? I was maybe selling them on Etsy or one little places here, but now it's a thing, right? I want to turn this into a business. I'm gonna plan this out, right? And I got my credit position. Okay, that now I got my business plan. I'm gonna put a certain amount of money for marketing dollars, right, to reach my demographic. What does that look like for me? But also, I know that up to 50K, guess what? I'm gonna be able to write that off and get that back, which is whatever profit I make, right? It's not going to taxes. It's going to lower my tax debt. I think as business owners, when you start off, you should plan and strategically think that way. Oh, so maybe I could put more into my marketing budget because in my head, I know that it's going to lower my tax debt. And I think that analyzation doesn't happen, right? The same, but in some fields outside of our community, it does, right? And that same thing with the energy efficient credit, right? The hybrids, right? It's to go, okay, I'm about to buy a new car, but if I get a hybrid, I get up to $7,500. Let me be strategic about what's happening with how I spend my dollars, right? How does that help me overall? But I think as business owners, and especially as people of color, we don't drill into the numbers. We just kind of throw it out there sometimes and just do it instead of putting a plan to go, all right, well, I got a 3-year plan. Right?
We don't drill into nothing, boy.
We just kind of do it. But a lot of it's just because we don't have the knowledge. We're not exposed to
start selling anything. T-shirts.
Them candy apples, they're gonna work. Y'all should take
candy lady. You justify anything. I just and although I'm liking creation, you know what I'm kind of conflicted about. It probably won't. I'm conflicted about.
It's negative net today, y'all. He mad because Trump didn't do a good job. It's somber Sam today. Somber Sam because Trump ain't show out for him. Be somber Sam.
I thought it was really good, but what I'm saying is we just gotta reach a point, man, where you just like tired. Somehow you gotta figure it out. And
you gotta stop figuring it out and be intentional. That's the problem.
Right.
You're too busy trying to throw it up and see what sticks.
I agree.
Let's figure this out. And
I'm a little conflicted about this because I don't know if it's gonna do a good service or cause more harm. But what I'm thinking about is having more programs that support business education. So how are we funding like the SBDC? How is the Chamber of Commerce being ran to support local businesses versus like, for the people who are like, we're not ready. Like, you ready to do your own business, but you're not ready to go pay for a mentor in the space, right? And I'm slightly conflicted about that, because it's also like it's almost like getting government help. Because for me, I think like
government is your partner. You need partners, and you keep saying you don't want government help, but the entities you're talking about, the SPA, all this stuff is government funded stuff.
That's what
so
I'm
like, what you saying? You don't want government help, but you want government help.
What I'm saying is
help it make sense.
I'm saying that the policies, we should have a lot more education around supporting businesses and feed that into these programs like the SBDC for it to be used. There's a lot of people who probably still don't even know what the small business development.
It's a lie. It's, first of all, and we can go into personal development because it goes into that, right? It is accountability and being intentional about what you want. Okay, Verizon also has a small business grant. They give up to $10,000, right? And guess what they have in there? Courses, mini courses. You have to take at least 3 to be eligible for the 10K.
Okay.
And it's about, you could pick, first of all, you take a quiz, and how I know, because I did it. I didn't go all the way through, and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool."
The 10K ain't tell
no. I'm gonna send you the link though. I didn't continue. I didn't continue.
Holding out, y'all. We are getting money. Ain't nobody know but her.
I'm gonna send it to you. I had forgot. Life be lifing, but I had started, and I
shop with Verizon. My phone bill high as hell every day. You can give me something.
But Verizon started it based on equity and diversity, to include more women and people of color, to give them access to knowledge on how to fund their business. So when you take the courses, it was women giving the courses about marketing, about a lot of the stuff you're talking about, basically is what I'm saying. There's things out there. We have to source it and find it. I think people are lazy and they want it to say, here go to 10,000 for the grant. Boom. Now make it happen. You got to fight for it, and you got to develop it, and you got to research it. It's out there. So when I hear people say we need more of this, we need more of that, it's out there. We can develop and because the Chamber of Commerce is great. I'm not a part of the Chamber of Commerce. I probably should be. That's probably one organization I'm not a part of.
It's pretty inexpensive.
That I don't really yield and leverage. You know what I mean? But that is a association we could go into that lacks color, that lacks diversity.
But all things lack color.
Because we don't go.
Right.
We don't show up. So whose fault is that?
I mean, is
that our fault? They like, it's no color and diversity, so we just gonna focus on the people that's here.
I agree. I 100% agree. When I was in Colorado Springs, I was a chamber ambassador. I was a part of the Black Chamber, and they even had a women's chamber, which was better than both regular chambers. But so I was definitely involved in that, and I seen the impact that it has. And I think that's why I was like, I'm a little conflicted with it, because some of that I feel like you need to find, like, you need to pay. I get conflicted with helping people, especially in our profession, from finance, that, you know, they need the help, but they're not willing to part with what's valuable to them to pay for the service that is. So now I'm like, no, you gotta pay. You gotta go after people with the money.
I'm not conflicted at all. Everybody is not meant to go, right? And if you spiritual, you'll go right to the Bible. Everybody is not meant to go.
Is that coming from a Democrat? Y'all
everybody
economic
is not. Everybody's not gonna fit on the boats. He did. I was trying not to break up.
Marxist.
He definitely. Your father is a Marxist.
A Marxist.
He probably don't even know what a Marxist is.
Socioeconomic. Everybody's included, and now you saying people ain't gonna get on the boat.
Everybody's included, but everybody's not gonna go. Man. That's different. That's different. And if I create the opportunity, everybody's not gonna go. Right? If I show you this is the lake, I'm creating the opportunity. Everybody's not gonna drink from it. Right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right? We create the opportunity. Right? But that doesn't mean and I'm okay with everybody not coming, because I can't make you do it. They're going to get left behind. That's just how it is. Everybody, we're all not going to jump the fence and be in the promised land. Like, yes, mindset is so many different factors. We're just not all going to make it.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Me too.
I present the opportunity. I'm like, here, this is what it is.
We're going to hold you. It took me a while to get here, though.
Oh, I'm not conflicted. I'm not conflicted.
It took me a while to get here. I had my when I started Northwestern, my mentor told me straight. I was like, man, I started, life insurance to help we never have conversations about life policies, all this stuff at the dinner table. He said, look, He said, you better go after the money. He said, you want to do something for your people, give charity, donate to
And
the
I believe
library.
in my people.
Donate
and
to the book
I'm
club.
gonna pull the people. I'm gonna
I
help
said,
them.
what?
I'm gonna help the people that's gonna
He said,
come.
you better go after the affluent African Americans.
There's a lot of people who want the information and who will take action and do it.
Yeah.
The others who won't.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to save them.
Yeah. And that but you know,
because you gotta have a certain get up and go.
Yeah.
Like I can't make you
do what you gonna.
Like you got, at least if you like, I got off the starting block, I need some help.
Right.
Right. Okay, I got you. Let's do this thing. What
you gotta help me help you.
Right.
I'm helping myself.
Listen, I can't.
My livelihood.
I'm
eat,
okay.
Breathe, and
if
sleep
you don't make it. And some people are not meant to make it.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it.
Y'all just gotta get comfortable with yourself. You gotta get down to the point where you just know you. Either you gonna be for this battle or you ain't. Either you gonna change your situation or you're not. Either you're gonna stay where you're living or you're not.
Yeah.
It don't get no. I don't care. We can talk about price gouging. We can talk about all the stuff. The reality of it is milk costs more today than it did in 1960. It's gonna continue.
Everything does.
Exactly.
So let's be clear.
Exactly. Let's be clear.
Your car, your hat, your eyelashes, your hair.
And poor.
It all costs more money.
And poor looks different today than it did yesterday.
Absolutely.
So either we gonna stay down here in this thing and victimize and point the blame and try to figure this thing out, or you're gonna get to the other side of this thing, start your business, develop a skill. It don't even have to be starting a business. You can develop a skill that can help a business owner for you to create your own six figures.
Absolutely.
It don't get no better than that.
And you have to look.
Prime example is a CJ. CJ was comfortable at number 2 to ET.
Yeah.
He created his own situation there. And so we got to get comfortable with doing some of the same stuff.
And look at the political arena that we're in. Sometimes I think people just don't. It's accountability and really not, like you said, and pulling yourself up and wanting something different and moving the goalposts to get there.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about several things that's going to be happening in the next 5, 10 to 20 years. Yeah. Right. And sometimes I know we're focusing on trying to pay the bills today.
Yeah.
But you got to think about tomorrow so that you can go,
You got to be strategic.
You got to be strategic.
You got to think like the Fed. They said we're on a 14-year run.
So to think, absolutely. Absolutely. But sometimes we want it today. We want it now. And we don't want to sacrifice and give up today so that you can live a better tomorrow. Yeah. And that's, to me, the key thing. We got AI coming. You got, it's here. How do you take advantage of that?
Yeah.
Right?
It's in its early stages.
We got so many things happening. We talked about, FIFA coming to Atlanta, Olympics coming to 2028. Be intentional about what's coming in LA, right? Make the opportunities for you.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and be like, woe is me.
Yeah.
But because both parties are not going to help you until you help you.
Yeah.
Now, can you strategically align with a party that benefits you locally? Right? Because relationships matter.
Yeah, relationships.
Knowing where the government is putting money, knowing where those contracts are coming matter.
Having the inside man.
Whether they're Democratic or Republican.
And
you need to know what's happening.
That's a good point. I think that's described me completely. Let's not complain about the system, but let's figure out the rules to see how it can benefit us.
Get in there.
Figure out who.
I don't care.
Such and such is over the whatever card you got to play to get what you need to get out of there.
You want your kids to have better education. I got a curriculum. Okay, well, how do you get your curriculum in the school district? Do you need to show up at the school board? Do you know who the president is?
Be realistic.
Do you need it's strategic partnership?
For sure.
Right? So
I agree. So I mean, we talked about a lot. Good.
We got any comments? Y'all in the comments? Ain't nobody live today?
No.
What's happening? Y'all ain't live today. Where y'all at?
Debate put to sleep. Y'all make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. We got a lot of amazing content coming up soon. We're going to continue to go live. We are covering all things business. This is Minding Your Biz. We talking politics. We talking anything that affects business. Of course, with the political debate or the political election.
It's coming.
A heavy thing.
Early voting in Atlanta, October 25th.
Right? Oh, okay.
Early vote in October 25th in Atlanta, Georgia.
Those are the two biggest states. I think a lot of reporters are saying that.
Because we went blue, baby. We going to listen.
Georgia and Pennsylvania.
Georgia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, swing states.
Right.
You know, Republican. Georgia used to be heavy red. Nobody didn't think that Georgia was gonna be blue.
It's probably gonna be back red.
So we're gonna show up, you know. But why would that be? As they try to handicap us. So
Be back red.
you know,
that was another thing. She baited him because he ain't let that. He should have let that go, but he didn't let that go. He didn't let that go.
He's such a
debate.
small
he was like, I ain't
man.
lose.
He did.
Like clearly
though.
you did.
Clearly.
That's why you
81 million
debating.
people fired you, sir. You 81 million.
I'm like, that's why you debate.
I love that line. She said 81 million fired you.
I'm like,
It probably, he probably was, if he the hairs on his neck, she got him. He was upset. 81 million
like,
fired you.
She
I just was being sarcastic.
It was like
Tickle. I just said it.
Border Patrol.
The immigration, the people, they eating the dogs. Child, he couldn't get it.
Oh my God. But we got amazing content coming up. We are starting to do interviews. So if you are a business owner, if you did anything special, great, and want to be performed on the show, please reach out to us. We'll have our information in the description box. Where we're highlighting business owners, whether you are just starting out, been in business for a while, we're interested to hear your take on business and life around you. We got interviews coming up starting the first week in October. Really excited about. And we're going to be announcing our first live show. So tap in with us. Let us know what it is you want us to talk about that can affect your life and help your business grow and thrive.
That's right. Thank you guys. Like, comment, share, hit the button, and thank you guys.
And with that, we out. We see y'all.
Thank you
next
for
week.
minding your biz.